Hi.
Hello.
Okay, prepare the meeting notes for today. Michael cannot join, so I try to lead the call if it is okay for you, or if anyone else want to, lead the call or the meeting is okay for me.
Hi everyone. How's it going?
Hi. Fine. End of the day for me. I am based in Europe. I don't know. Probably it is the start of your day.
No,
okay,
no, I'm based in the UK, so yeah, same thing. I see you're half loading at the moment. I see you're half loading at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah, I need more coffee probably, but for the entire day I need more coffee. You can ask in every moment, you need coffee? The answer is always yes. It is a wild truth. Okay, other 2 minutes and then we can start, I guess. In the project updates, in the meeting notes are here, but they are also linked in the calendar event. Okay. I have had some project. I have had some project in the project update bullet point. If I forgot something, please add the project that I forgot. Probably, especially because it is the first meeting for this new year for me. I honestly forgot the last one, so I could not join. I was honestly on vacation and I haven't checked the calendar notification. Just that. Okay, I think we can start. So I don't know if there are new members. Apparently, no, I guess, by checking the name on Zoom and the previous list. But if someone is new, please, if you want, you can introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name's Dan Conn. I work for Sonotype. Yeah, I've got about 10 years before I worked at Sonotype. I've got about 10 years dev experience and equally as much cybersecurity experience. Basically got hacked from an early on in my career and kind of wanted to start making things secure since then. So yeah, just really here to listen and see where I can help.
Hey, welcome. Thank you.
Thanks.
I mean, I am a user of Sonotype tools, for example.
Cool.
But yeah. Okay, I think we can start with the current agenda. I have seen the previous meeting notes, especially related to the Virtual Maintainer Summit. So I don't know if someone of you has any updates on the Virtual Maintainer Summit. I've seen that.
I have the hi. This is Munawar. Hey, Luigi. Regarding the Virtual Maintainer Summit, we were supposed to send the emails to the participants, the invited participants, asking them to like book their time. So the official email was supposed to go last week. It did not go for reasons that was beyond my control, but we are trying to escalate and be able to send this by the end of this week. We have only a couple of days left, but I'm working with Kahil and Rory right now to send the email. So we have kind of a escalation back by about a week, but I mean, we are getting back on track. Other than that, I mean, next week, the plan is to send the emails to the panelists, but I mean, we have already confirmed with the panelists, so it's just a formal email that's going to go to them. The real critical thing is that the date for the summit is February 22nd, and it's like almost just about a month away, and we still haven't sent emails to the participants, although some of them have been notified in like back channels or private channels, but I mean, we haven't sent the official email, which is a collective failure, but we are trying to fix that together. That's it from my end.
I mute, sorry. I was saying that I'm taking notes and probably I'll revert better after the call. Thank you for the update. So at the moment, the point is that we need to send the email to the participant, and probably the mail are too late, respect to the summit date, in your opinion. But you are on the, for the end of the week, you have done the email delivery, right?
I hope so, yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay. There are other, we can help you in some way, or it is under control, in your opinion?
At this point, it's under control. It's just like, because it's been, the original group, there's, people have been busy for the past couple of weeks. So, those who were supposed to do it were just not able to do it in time. So now, now we are just in damage control mode and getting it done. That's the point.
Perfect. Thank you for the update. Okay, other updates. I have written this order of project Alpha Omega. Usually it's Michael that have updates about Alpha Omega, but if someone else has any updates about the project, please. Nope. Quite silent. Okay. I write no updates. Then there is the dashboard. That was, the sort of a new version of the dashboard for the metrics, the old metric dashboard that we created 2 years ago, more than 1 year ago. There are any updates about that?
Yeah, so we met for the first time this year last week. No new updates. Narav is still out of town, and I know at the last meeting at the end of the year, we had some notes that we went back to him with about the dashboard's mock-up that we wanted to get some advancement on. So we'll just wait on him for that. Aside from that, as we said last year, we should be able to come back here in the next couple of months with a good with a good demo that we can put before the working group, and hopefully that comes into fruition. So we met last week. It was just the three of us on the call. We got a chance to know each other really well. Hopefully next week when we meet, we can get a little bit more traction, and then of course come back to the working group at some point this month with an idea of when we'll be able to put a demo out for this working group to take a look at.
Okay, so in 1 month we can have the first demo. It's great.
I'm not committing to the 1 month part. I'm saying that I'm saying that in the next couple of weeks we'll be able to detail when that'll happen. Hopefully,
Okay.
we do it in a month. I won't commit the sig to that. But we are advancing in that direction. So we'll be on the lookout.
Just a question, because I was not in the last call. I see in the previous meeting agenda, in the previous meeting note from the last call, the first mockup for the dashboard, and it's very nice. So the user can have this tab and can interact with the dashboard to see all the data and the information. And of course, some data
we just had a few we notes about the data that was being presented. The data that was being presented, and then some points, some data points that weren't being presented that we think should. So that there was a part about, hey, this may not necessarily be the view that everyone should have. This might be a view that you should select, and then that view comes up. But then these items might need to be on the dashboard up front, right? So we had some of those notes that we went back with. Also, there were notes about, the project that's being searched for, whether or not it's relevant to have all of that data for that specific project, right? All of those kind of items right there that we went back with. So it's a give and take. We'll see what comes up, and of course we'll look at that mock-up as well, and then we'll have some notes on that. But ultimately, we're heading in the right direction to a demo that we can put out, and then of course bring it back to the working group, and then we can all look at it together and say, hey, this is what works. This doesn't work. But the working group is making those kind of advancements. So I mean, that's it. Right now, it's all about what views are appropriate, what data points are impactful to the viewer, and that's how we know we're doing it in sprints. So little by little.
Oh, this is nice, because I miss that kind of dashboard, honestly. I was a user. We have deprecated it without a real new project or a sort of refactoring. And so I'm very happy that someone is working again on a similar project. I have just two questions, but from a user perspective, and maybe if you don't have an answer for me, don't worry. I can wait for more details in the next weeks. The one is this project will have an API that the user can use to send a request without using the dashboard, because sometimes maybe you want to have just a command line tool. And the second question is, will be the dashboard, the project, open source? So technically everyone can, of course, contribute to the dashboard, but also change the dashboard or adapt to their own project using then the API.
Those two are extremely good questions. The first one, I'll tell you, I'm not terribly sure about that part. And I think that's that you might want to come inside of the SIG and ask that question. The second one might be a little bit more involved, because I depending upon the platform we end up using, right? Because that has not been, we have not settled on that yet. So depending upon the platform that's being used, the idea that the tool itself will be open source, that could be, I think some parts of it might be, but I think depending upon the platform being used and how, dare I say, proprietary that platform is, that part may not be. But Christine will expand a bit on that.
Yeah, I think for the first question you were talking about API access, that's one of the things that I think we had put there as one of the requirements that we would like to see an API access available for it. So that, to answer your question, we've been pushing for that.
Okay, so API are a requirement.
Yeah, we're hoping.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I should be a requirement. And yeah, I mean, yeah, because it is. I mean, I hope that this project can have a future, because definitely something that I would like to have. But I mean, definitely bias on this topic. So just I am talking just like the final user, not like a contributor at the moment. Okay, thank you for your updates. And office hour project, I think that no one has updated about the office hour project. I need to write probably on Slack. We have a channel, but I don't know if there are any updates. I suppose that it should start in the first quarter of this year, but I'm not totally sure. So no updates for now, but yeah, I will ask in Slack, because it is a good point. Security insights. Yeah, I have some updates. I have opened 3 pull requests in 3 OpenSSF projects. They are on Slack, and the projects are, 1 second, I can find them. The projects are package analysis, paths introspector, and all star. And when I tried to fill out the security insights, it was an interesting exercise in my opinion, because I have seen that not all the repo that we have in OpenSSF have as a security policy. So technically at the moment, not all the repos have a security MD or just a link to the security tab in GitHub, and we should set at least a security policy, in my opinion, at least for the organization, a generic one. Just a point of contact. I have written this message in the TAC channel, but I could not join the last TAC meeting, so probably or I will ask to Michael to escalate this point, or I will just join the TAC meeting, the next one. Another interesting point is about bug bounty. Maybe not for all the projects that we have, but for sure we have some projects that are very popular. The most popular probably is the scorecard, but also SigStore that is related to OpenSSF is very, very important and popular now. And so having a sort of bug bounty should at least be discussed. I don't know if Linux Foundation / OpenSSF has budget, but I don't think we are talking about a very big budget, so something that it should be acceptable for the foundation. And also this question is for the TAC meeting, I guess. From other perspective, I still need to start to work on a client / website tool to create the security insight. At the moment, I have used the Python script that helped me, but definitely the user experience is not so good, and I have written that script. So we need something that is more user-friendly, and especially with a graphic user interface. So the next step probably is to try to understand if the OpenSSF want to have a global security policy. Then every project can change it maybe, but at least a minimum message, a minimum text we should have in every project that we have, and then finish to fill out the security insight for these 3 projects, so we can test them. We can see if people find them helpfully, and I mean they can find helpful, and then we can try to continue to spread the security insight around the other open source project. Yeah, for the first experience, it definitely helped me to see some lack of compliance best practice. I don't know how to define this, but it's normal in the open source, so no critical point. And this is my updates. So I will write later. So I have no other updates about the security insights and other projects. But if you have other topic that you want to discuss or talk, we have time now. So if you want to introduce any topic, for example, in the last 3 weeks, I worked on LastPass and CircleCI especially, and it was not fun during the Christmas holiday, winter holiday. Someone else has worked on LastPass and CircleCI, or it was just me?
Yeah, I missed it this year, thankfully. I think the past couple of years over Christmas have been pretty hairy. I think I got Log4j last year.
Yeah. Log4j was an hell, but it was easier in my opinion, because I mean you can check the code and well, you need to update it, but it is just a version.
Yeah, it's
so
not cycling. Yeah.
But sorry.
No. Yeah, I mean, I think so I was in kind of developer mode then. We were working on an identity project, so we were like suddenly like, oh, we need to fix this. And I think it's like the 5 iterations, but also I think that the struggle was finding things within things. So we'd fixed it our end, but then still found that actually, it's kind of, I think that for us was where the time was spent. But yeah, the actual from an AppSec point of view, circling keys is a horrendous task, right?
Rotating password and secret, for example, for LastPass was terrible from my personal experience. It was not my experience, so now at company level, fortunately. And also as a user, I haven't enough secret in LastPass except for 2 not so important password. But I was thinking about users that need to rotate all the secret and the 2-factor seed and all the information in the secret manager to a company level. That was crazy, honestly. And also CircleCI is similar because you need to rotate all the secret and try to rotate them without creating any new outage on big stuff. So definitely winter holiday, that was not so. I mean, that was not so relaxing from my perspective, but this was my own experience, and it is. So
I found something that we found was we had like a Linux coin miner that we found with in Lifecycle a few days ago. It's not the coin miner isn't actually out the blue, but what was interesting is that it was only, I think, ESET and a couple of other Avast actually that flagged it as malicious. We found that it's actually getting pulled from a GitLab user that's kind of got various versions of this coin miner in Go, in Java. And it was just quite interesting for us that it wasn't like the method of delivery was different. So quite a lot of antiviruses weren't actually picking it up, strangely enough.
I have a question about the miner. Do you know in which languages it was written?
In which language? So it was multiple language. So there was one that was written for Go. There was one that was written for Java, and there was one that was written in C. Basically, so what was delivered was a Python script that then calls a GitLab repository, like the raw binary in that repository, and it's just like the actual repository in GitLab is just various different builds. So you got like a C in x86, you've got like a Go version, and because they're binaries, they're not really being looked at. So yeah, it's being picked, and then what the Python file is doing is essentially chmodding it at 700 and then running it. So and then it's just your bog standard miner, but it's kind of like getting around a lot of antivirus protection because they're looking for the binary, and it's not the binary, it's just a Python shell that's calling a GitLab repository. So it's
This is interesting. And the first script is in Python to download the data from the GitHub repository.
Sorry.
And to download the data from the GitHub repository, the first script.
Yeah, it's
is
a direct
written
link. It's a direct link. Yeah. So I've sent an abuse email to GitLab, and hopefully they'll pull down the repo at least. So if you know, hopefully then that's fixed. But it's it was just very interesting. Like it wasn't like our security researchers were like, well, we find quite a lot of these. It's not that interesting, as in the binary. But it was just the delivery method was like, oh, okay, it got picked up by our system because it's not that far different. They checked the payload once it was pulled in. But yeah, it's just it was just quite an interesting bit of I was like, oh, okay, just a way of circumventing a lot. I guess what a lot of antivirus are looking for is actual malware signatures, right? So they're not going to find that in the Python file because it's pulling the
How do you get the original Python script? Like, how do you get infected by that? Do you like accidentally download it, or how does it run?
Pretty much. I mean, it's basically someone will point you to. So their thing is, so it kind of goes a bit deeper. That once you actually find a pre-built of the binary, it's the miner it's using is Cortex. So it's trying to install a miner for Cortex crypto on your machine. But essentially, it's just standard like phishing phishing techniques of here's a binary, come and get it, whichever way they can. So I think in our system it was through actually we found it through npm, so it was something in npm.js that was then pointing to another repository. So but I could imagine that the way it's set up is that it doesn't actually matter really the delivery method. So you could probably point people to this same repository through email phishing. You could probably do it through various attack vectors because essentially it's just a GitLab repo, right?
Interesting.
And about this topic, I have a topic that I wanted to propose a week ago, and it is related. Probably but during the winter holiday there was an incident in PyTorch, in an IT version for Linux, where there was a sampling chain incident because a package that they used, the nightly version, was not in PyPy, and someone just added these packages in PyPy with the same name, so the CI started to download it. So a very classic approach to hack a project using a supply chain attack, so creating a package and pushing the ecosystem that they use to download other packages. My question is, the point is that, apparently the packages seem to be malicious. So the code and the request that these packages did, in my opinion, they were malicious. But after that the incident was disclosed, the security researcher or the person or the people that uploaded these packages on npm have added a message in PyPy, and had added a message in PyPy by saying, hey, this was just a test to see if the PyTorch was vulnerable or not, and to be sure that the hack worked, we need to do some requests to be sure that it was on the developer machine and something similar. And it is an interesting point because at the moment it's not clear who is accountable for a supply chain attack. I mean, this kind of attack was definitely targeting PyTorch. So the attacker created the packages that was in the sub-dependency of PyTorch, uploaded in PyPy to hack PyTorch. But in general, if I find that a specific big project is vulnerable to a supply chain attack, I can theoretically show it to the security team. And if the security team is good, probably they don't need a POC and they classify the report as critical. Because otherwise, if someone asks for a POC, and it's very common in the disclosure policy that we have at the moment as company usually, then you ask for a POC, at least to try to reproduce it. But if you ask for a POC in a supply chain scenario, without hacking an open source project, you can just create your own one, delivering the ecosystem with the same name. So technically, you are not hack other code, you are just creating a new packages. But even if you do so, the point is that if other projects are using that specific packages, to create this POC, you are probably, in the best scenario, break all the project worldwide. So there is no easy way to reproduce or to prove a supply chain attack. But I mean, maybe there is an easy way, but with big consequence and critical consequence for other companies also, not just the project that you want to hack or prove that is vulnerable. So my question is, some companies have disclosure policy that explain how to communicate vulnerabilities and how to report them. But we don't have a clear procedure for supply chain attacks. In particular, a project can be vulnerable to a supply chain attack that is usually critical, but at the same time, in the project or the maintainer of that project could be not accountable for the vulnerable packages that can be a dependency, a sub-dependency, or something similar. So how the security research should act or should try to prove a proof of concept to the security team? This is my question at the moment. Feel free to contribute because it is an open question.
Yeah, it's a good one. I mean, I can only speak from kind of my own experiences. Either you have it you have the proof of concept on a private repo, so other people can't use it, or I think like I'm not sure if GitHub do, and I know Jay's on the call, so he might know a bit more about on the GitHub side of stuff. But I know GitLab, for example, has very kind of defined. If you're a user and this is security research, you need to make it very clear that this repo is for security research. And if you don't, then we have to assume that you're malicious. But even then, like, there's nothing really stopping somebody pointing to the raw binary that's there, right? But I guess that would maybe, from a research point of view, would you need to put it into your raw? Would you need to put it into a built form? If it's research, because surely you'd pull it down, you'd build it in your lab, right? So I think,
probably if the project is open source, if you are lucky and you have a dependency that is open source, but is not in the ecosystem, NPM or similar, you can just clone the repo, put in the ecosystem, add a security TXT, add a custom file, a TXT file, where you say, hey, you are not downloading your own dependency, you are downloading my own one, and so you are vulnerable. And this is the best scenario. But for example, if you have a package that is in a private repo, so it's a private package, but you see it maybe in the dependency list, and you add it to PyPy, there is no way to, you maybe on PyPy, NPM, other ecosystem, you can maybe create a public repo that it is clear that you are not malicious, but at the same time, there is no way to know how that package is used because you have no access to the code. And in the best scenario, I think that you can break the pipeline at least. So even if, there are scenarios where it's not clear how a researcher can test if a package is vulnerable or not without break the environment of other developers. Or if there is, I'm not the right person that I haven't know the solution at the moment. So maybe there is a way, but I was not able to think about it.
I think what we have with Lifecycle, but that's a paid product, right? So that will kind of scan things, same with Firewall. But from an open source point of view, we got OSS Index that would give you a vague knowledge of dependencies inside. We've added something, called Bomb Doctor, which also looks for dependencies. But I think, yeah, it's mainly in our paid projects, unfortunately, that would be. Oh, thank you. It would be sorry about that. It's my boss. But yeah, you know, it's basically in our paid products that we have that kind of knowledge of, you know, oh, this looks a bit fishy, because yeah, we put it to pattern recognition models. So maybe that's something to consider. I don't know whether Microsoft might have something actually, or anyone else on the call.
No. Anyway, yeah, I mean, to prevent this kind of attack, you can use Sigstore or use the signature of package. Yeah, you have mitigation that you can implement, but it is easier if you are well, a business company than just an open source project. You have more people that can work on the code, and usually you have time to implement best practice. Usually, I mean, but yeah, for an open source project, it can be not so easy, especially when they start to become popular. Have this solution implemented. They require time, and that also, I mean, not friction, but yeah, you need to work to maintain your CI more or less. This is the point. And in general, the point is that from my perspective, at the moment, we don't have a clear way to communicate a potential supply chain attack. Probably it is a good topic for the disclosure channel that we have. So probably I will write a message in that channel. But I mean, no other topic from please.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, Bomb Doctor is part of Lift, and that the idea of that is that it will look through, you know, your pipeline of dependencies, and will kind of say, look, this is vulnerable. We know that this is kind of vulnerable. So I don't know, maybe it might be a point. If you've got a project, have you used Lift at all? Put it, yeah, I think you can put it onto a GitHub project, and just see if that might give you what you're looking for. It's free, so it's not like it's open source, that one. Yeah, it's quite new. It's only kind of got released like it's when it's still in beta, basically, for a couple of weeks. But I think also OSS Index has some dependency management around supply chain. You know, it's fed intelligence for it, so it might be worth looking at if you're looking for something. I don't know whether it will do exactly what you want, but it might.
Can you share the link?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
In the Zoom chat, I can add it.
Yeah. So that's to Lift. And yeah, Bomb Docs is basically a tab within that. So you install Lift on the GitHub repo, and then Bomb Docs is like the second tab in.
The tool is install Lift.
Yeah.
Mute. No, I'm not mute. Perfect. Lift. Okay. Do you have a link to the GitHub repo of this tool? Or it is closed source?
Let's have a look. I think
because I can install for free, but I would like to see if there is. I mean, I don't know if there is the open source version.
Yeah, I don't have it to hand, to be honest. Do you mind if I let's see if I can find it. Maybe it's on the type GitHub.
But this is a scanner for the source code.
It's got a source code, but on the tab, there's a tab called Bomb Doctor, which is something quite new. Which essentially will be kind of looking at the deposit. It will essentially be looking at like the repository and looking at the dependencies and kind of saying, well, here is you know, here's some vulnerable dependencies based on what we found in supply chain intelligence that we have. So Lift itself it's kind of like two different things. So it's focuses on you know, static code analysis essentially, but also So let's see. Sorry, it might be better if I give you the bomb doctor link. So essentially, they were going to be two different things, but I think it's still in. Yeah. So bomb doctor is really new, and I need to get a code from somewhere for someone to use it. So it's still in the early beta. But let me see. Do you mind if I have a chat with my product team and see, because it is meant to be a free tool, and then I'll definitely clarify. And maybe we can
Okay.
get some,
Yeah, it can be interesting. Every kind of scanner is definitely interesting. Okay, so this was the last topic for me. If there are no other update or other topic and discussion, I think no, I don't see hand. So you have 20 minutes to do what you want, and we can save time. Okay, people, thank you to join this meeting. I will rewrite better the meeting notes. Jay, Christine, probably I will send you the link to be sure that I've written correctly the meeting notes. And thank you for joining the meeting. See you in 2 weeks. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.